Confirm it's going on YouTube. Okay. Okay. Oh, yes. So we are about to get started. Okay. This view is good. Okay, this is better. Okay. This is better, I guess. I'm going to have this banner on the screen. Welcome to this scholarship AMA session. Okay, at this point, I want you to just tell us where you are streaming from. Okay? Let us know where you are streaming from. Nigeria, I know most people are from Nigeria for sure, but it's okay. Nigeria, Canada, UK, Europe. Tell me to keep dreaming big. But yeah, um, yeah, let's know where you're joining from. And with me here is Chigozirim, aka. Uh, it's going to be a very fun time. Like during this session, she's like fully packed, fully ready to give you guys the shot, ready to like help you with a lot of the questions you have. And she's going to be moderating today, and I will just be in the background observing her, like coming in when we need, like when I have to. So you guys should not expect to hear from me all the time. She has literally every answer you want to get. Okay, okay. Welcome again. Let's not know where you are streaming from. Where are you streaming from? I want to see this in the chat. In the chat. In the chat. Where are you streaming from? Okay, I can see Myanmar. Myanmar. And I think there's a song. Myanmar. Myanmar. Okay, yeah. From Nigeria. Thank you, Myanmar. Thank you so much. Thank you. Nigeria. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining us today. Um, so without further ado, I know it's kind of makes sense to wait for many people to join, but because of time, I don't think I'm going to do that. So we just go straight into it. If people want to join us later, I believe they will join us. Otherwise, they will see the recordings on YouTube. Okay. Thank you so much. I am Precious. I am Precious Kolawole, and maybe I should do a quick introduction for new subscribers or for people that are just like getting to know Precious. I'm Precious Kolawole. I'm a Nigerian. From a family of four, okay, three siblings, four of us, and we are like six in total. I came to Canada 2 years ago. I'm a software engineer at Shopify. I'm particularly in the Shopify dev degree program, where I study computer science in school at the same time. I study, Carleton University, if you are curious. Carleton is the school. So, what else do you guys want to know about me? I do a lot of scholarship stuff. I've won a couple of scholarships, and which is why we even have this session in the first place. Because like you don't want to be the only person like getting them. These offers are out there for many people to benefit from. So yeah, I've gotten quite a number of scholarship, and you kind of just see me in the machine learning and data science spaces. I try to contribute my tiny bit. I have quite a number. I don't know why it's hard for me to talk about myself. I will let you go take it from me now. She's going to give us like a brief introduction of who she is so you guys can get to know her very well. Chigo, you have the floor.
Hi everyone. Good good afternoon, good morning, whatever time it is in your area. My name is Chigo. Well, my full name is Chigozirim, but a lot of people call me Chigo. Um, like Precious, I go to Carleton University, but unlike Precious, I'm not on the machine learning data science path. I'm actually, following the DevOps cloud computing route. I was born and raised in Nigeria as well and came to Canada in 2021. Um, yeah, I've been chilling. Yeah, pretty well.
Okay, when you say you've been chilling, like, is school the chilling part, or is it the work, or is it just the fact that you are in Canada? Like, where is the chilling coming from?
I think it's all the above, to be honest, but less
Okay.
work and school, more of like just being in Canada. Like, there's a lot to do, there's a lot to see, like, in as much as you come for school, there are other aspects of your life you shouldn't neglect. So that's where the chilling is coming from.
And are there like things you do for leisure anytime you don't want to like do school stuff and work stuff? Like, what do you do?
Well, I play games. I play PC games. Like, I don't know if you've heard of like GTA or Sims 4. I also play FIFA. And then I bike as well. I love biking. I feel like biking is a way for me to try to keep fit, but yeah.
Okay, Bro, thank you so much. Thank you. That makes a lot of sense. For those that are not interested in games, we are not here to do game stuff. Okay, so don't worry, don't worry. I can see ZGA. Okay, ZG Aspire. Thank you so much for joining. I can see Ifeoluwa Jola Osho. Hey, thank you so much. All right. So I would say this is the right time for you to put your questions in the comment section. I know everybody attending this session right now, you kind of have an expectations, right? And in as much as I have things prepped to talk about with you guys today, I believe you want your questions to be particularly answered. You have something you want answers to. So this is the time to put those questions together, put them in the chat. And I'm going to tell you, this is going to be a very super chill conversation. We are not trying to be like people know I'm not professional. I can look like I'm professional, but I am not. So I would say be very, very comfortable, but just know the rules. Moral, be of good conduct, yeah. But put your questions in the chat, anything at all that you want answers to. If you need resources, let me know. If you need anything, put it in the chat, and we are going to be addressing the questions one by one. Okay. In the meantime, I'm going to be collaborating with Miss Chigozirim. You guys can see she's a very fun person. So put your question in the chat. Once I see a question I want to answer, I'm going to put it on the screen, and then myself and Chigo will get to answer them. So within this minute, while you are preparing your questions, I will try and ask Chigo some questions that I've prepared for her, because she also has like an exciting journey just like myself. And I feel like if we don't get to know people very well, we won't actually know where they are coming from. And we kind of just think, oh, they are here doing all of these things. Maybe they are lucky, maybe something worked for them, right? But we need to hear them talk about it themselves. So I'm going to ask Chigo one question right now, uh, to kind of tell us about a professional, like the professional part of her and the work she does. You can talk about like the things you've done, the work you've done, the internships you've had, all of those juicy stuff. Let us know more about you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for the question, Precious. So, currently, I work as a systems engineer intern. As I said earlier, I followed the like DevOps cloud computing path. So I think my career trajectory has been maybe slightly different from what a lot of people my age are like the path they follow. I think mine has been slightly different. So currently, I'm working as a systems engineering intern at SurveyMonkey. And as a systems engineering intern, honestly, the role changes from time to time because I've been a cloud solutions intern, I've been a DevOps intern. So the role name like changes, but like the functionality and like the main responsibilities remain the same. So currently, I specialize in like when you hear like CI/CD infrastructure setup, infrastructure automation with infrastructure as code tools like Terraform, Pulumi. Um, my primary responsibilities include uh, I think learning that's that's a primary responsibility. I learn on the day. I also do a bunch of like scripting. I write like bash script to provision infrastructure, provision resources on like AWS. I think over the course of my career, I've had the opportunity to get certified. Like I'm a two times AWS certified um, person, and I'm particularly skilled in when it comes to DevOps, cloud computing, and yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I don't know. I
I
hope I
love
answered the
that.
question.
Yes, yes, you did justice to the question. I don't know, maybe because from the things you mentioned about like you doing DevOps and all, I know I do machine learning. How do you realize, how did you get to know, oh, DevOps is what I want to pursue? Like DevOps is where I want to be, right? Maybe it's not even where you want to be, but how did you identify DevOps as a career path?
Okay, that's a very good question. So my uncle works in DevOps. Well, yeah, he works in DevOps, and at his company, he wears a lot of hats. And I remember just having a conversation with him one day, and I realized that with areas like like software engineering, like you need to have like like you need to have job experience to have job experience. Like I don't know if that makes sense. But like with DevOps, I felt like I could go through like hands-on labs, especially when I took the AWS certified cloud practitioner. I got a lot of like hands-on experience, and that translated to the actual job. So for software engineering, I don't think there was ever like something I could do on the side that would prepare me for like what a day in the life would look like. And
Mhm.
so that journey, like my journey in like getting those certifications and also like having these conversations with my uncle made me more interested in this field, like a field where I'm not just learning theory that's like, okay, I learn and then I go to the job and it's completely different. But it's like I can apply every single thing I've learned to the job. I can also get the hands-on because I'm very big on hands-on experience. And I think that's, definitely something that I would advise everyone, like whatever field you are in, like just try to get hands-on experience. And cloud computing it's like your certs mean literally nothing if you don't have the hands-on experience to back you up. So I think just going through that process just made me realize that, okay, this is something I actually enjoy doing. And when I got those certifications, I just wanted more hands-on experience. And I know AWS offers like a lot of opportunities for you to get the hands-on experience because not everyone knows about AWS, especially people my age. Like not everyone has that opportunity to play around with AWS. And yeah, I think that's pretty much how I knew DevOps was for me.
I love your answer. If I want to bring this a little bit back home,
Mhm.
because you came from Nigeria, you are studying computer science. How did you've talked about how you were introduced to DevOps from your uncle? What
Mhm.
about the aspect of studying computer science itself? Have you always been like fascinated about technology? Like, how did you know it was tech? Or
Huh.
was it also your uncle's doing?
So that's a long question. That's a question that the answer to that question would be long, but I'll try to just like make it short. So as many of you know, if you grew up in a Nigerian household, you're either like a medical doctor or a lawyer or an engineer. So back then, I was kind of on that journey to becoming a medical doctor. But I think things just did not work out the way I wanted it to work out. And so I think I remember applying to Carleton, and I had very good grades like coming from high school, and like I also did A level, so I had like very good grades, and I got admitted into the health science honors program as well as the computer science honors program. And so I just sat down with my mom and my dad, and we had like a very lengthy conversation about like future opportunities once I graduated. And it didn't make sense for me to finish after like 4 years of hard work, stress, sweat, tears, lack of sleep, and to not, be stranded without a job or like a way forward. And so yeah, we also like had conversations with our aunties, like my aunties who live in the US, and they offered like better insights into the job market. None of them came from like tech background, so I think at the end of the day it was just me. Okay, I'm going to go with computer science. I know this is a field I'm very new to because I never programmed, but I'm going to stick this out and just trust the process. So to answer the question, I never really had a, oh, it's computer science moment. It was more so like given the options I had, computer science was the best option for me.
Oh, I am blown away. Thank you, Chigo, for the answer. There's actually a lot to unpack from what you just said. uh the fact that, okay, your parents, you sat down with them, there's also this part of healthcare and all of those things, but I wouldn't want us to like move 100% away from the questions of the audience. I love
Mm-hmm.
your answer so far, and I'm going to still come back with many questions for you. So we are going to look at one of the questions I found in the chat section by Esther Yusen. She said, what can you do to get jobs, especially tech jobs? And I don't think, do you want to answer the question first? And then I can add to that.
Uh, Honestly, I would say it depends on where you're starting from, right? Like if you're starting at level zero, then there's a lot more work that you have to do. So I think the first step is a lot of people would say like pick a specialization, right? It's like we have machine learning, data science, etc. So a lot of
Mhm.
people be like, okay, pick a specialization and then just like learn what you need to learn, the things required for the specialization. But one thing I would add is you need to know like your tech fundamentals. Tech fundamentals include like data structures and algorithms. I don't like data structures and algorithms, but it's like it's part of those tech fundamentals, right? You
Nobody
also need
likes it.
you also need to know like networking. So when I say networking, I don't mean like going to conferences. No, I mean like actually, like IP addresses, subnets, all those, terms that maybe you've heard before or you've heard in passing. So those are also technical fundamentals. And like there are other technical fundamentals as well. I can't really think of it off the top of my head, but I would say, yeah, like I think the first step is you need to get your foundations in, because if your foundation isn't strong enough, then you can't really build, right? So once you have your foundations in, look for a specialization. Like it could be maybe Python, right? So there's this thing people say is like the T approach. So it's like
Yes.
you cover things broadly and then you also like go in depth. So you can pick like, okay, I want to go in depth with data science, but I also want to know other things like, oh, I want to know cloud computing. I want to know how to build software, SaaS applications, whatever it is. But like always have that C framework at the back of your head. Like, yes, you're focusing on the specialization, but there are other aspects of tech that you can also cover, and it would
Yes.
help you become like very valuable in the job market. So I think, yeah, so definitely fundamentals, pick like a specialization, go as in depth as you can with the specialization, but also like, broaden, open your wings a little bit. Then I would say network. So this networking is like actually meeting people. So go to LinkedIn and then look for people that work in companies you want to work at, or that do, something similar. Like if you look at yourself in like 5 years and then you see someone who's doing what you want to do in 5 years, reach out to them on LinkedIn, add a personalized note, and just like be as genuine as possible. And network. When jobs come up, apply for jobs. If you have the capacity, go for conferences, because a lot of people get job offers from like these conferences, meeting recruiters at these conferences. So
Yeah.
yeah, they're just like a bunch of these steps. Like there's no everybody at the end of the day, everybody has a different path. What works for you may not work for other people, but like just try to, define your own path and like do the work essentially.
I love that 100%. You pretty much went from the foundation where they should start from to
Mhm.
like the social aspect of you getting jobs in the job market. Thank you, Chigo. If I want to add anything to that, I feel like he made justice to it, honestly. If I'm going to add anything to that, it's going to be the aspect of you building small projects. Because I believe most people just believe, oh, they they know the job and they are going to sell themselves, like they know the work and they are going to sell themselves somehow. But it's actually, there is no way for you to convince anybody reviewing your application or reviewing your CV if there is no proof of you knowing what you claim you know. Right. So I would say you should invest in building small projects. There is this trend of people just seeing a YouTube video and then solving the problem in the YouTube video, building what the content creator building what the person built, and they pretty much believe, oh, that's enough for me to put on my CV. One thing you don't know is that one the video has almost like 100K views, and many people in different parts of the world are also implementing the same thing you've implemented. So you having that thing on your CV is not making you a strong candidate at all. So most of the time you want to sit down and think, I have learned this particular framework. I now know JavaScript. What can I build with JavaScript? And you should think of impactful projects that can impact people. You must see a specific problem you want to solve, and then you sit down and build daily to make sure the project is finalized, and then you can put it on your CV. Right, that's number one thing, building small projects. I'm also going to say, when you have a resume, make sure your resume is not filled with redundant stuff. Don't be telling me the primary school you attended. Don't be telling me the information I don't necessarily need. Okay. So I would say, when you have your resume, that particular project you've built and you are confident in, the way you present that project on your CV also matters. So have those things in place. And she also mentioned networking. You cannot put that anywhere, honestly. Most of the jobs I've had in the past, they were from referrals or somebody just seeing me doing something on social media and just like, oh, I believe this girl can get this job done. Right. I know there's this story of people not wanting to talk about like, because you need a job, you have to be on the social media and be selling yourself like every other person. That's another story entirely. But there is a way you can sell yourself, network. What is it called? Network with people in the industry. If you are trying to get a job to a particular company, don't just see the career site and apply. Look for somebody in that company, reach out to them, try to create a rapport with them. And I know some people will just go to somebody's DM and be like, hey, I need a job. Oh, okay, I know people don't do that. I want to trust you guys. You don't do that. But yeah, you don't just go to their DM and be like, hey, I need a job. Give me a job. No. You kind of just want to create the rapport, and then preach yourself. And with the relationship you've built with the person, they will be easy. They will be happy to give you whatever you've asked for. Right. So I'm going to stop that there. We don't want to waste too much time. So I'm going to go to the next question. Okay, I think this. Okay, this question is not for me alone. It's for Chigo because she's also studying and working at the same time. So it says, how does it feel working and learning? How do you manage pressure? Chigo, you want to take it?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Yeah, that's a very good question. I would say, obviously, like before you take on any responsibility, whether work or school, I feel like you should have a very good understanding of how much bandwidth you can take, right? Like with school, for example, if you're taking like let's say three courses and they're all in person and your work starts at, let's say you have like a 9 to 5, you need to kind of like evaluate that, like, okay, should I, register for courses that are maybe like in the evening, or like, just like evaluate that. So knowing like how much bandwidth, that will like how much capacity you have, I think that's like one of the ways I manage pressure. I'll give an example. For example, this summer I'm going to take three courses, and I'm also working 9 to 5. When working 9 to 5, honestly, like, you underestimate how tired you are after the job. Like, I underestimated a lot. When I get home, I just want to sleep. So what I do is I look for courses that are online, like, asynchronous learning, where I can learn on my own, and like the deliverables are also like flexible, like the deadlines are very flexible. And if I'm ever picking an in-person course, I also try to make sure that, again, it happens after work, because you can't, like, it's not possible, like, it's not possible to, just like leave work and then go to it's impossible. So just like know how much you can handle. And like, another thing I would say is like, yeah, it's a lot. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, it is a lot to like, balance working and learning.
Yeah.
It's something that I don't think I've perfected, if I'm being honest. Like, I'm far from perfect, but it's just like knowing what you need to do, knowing the steps that you have to take, and like, yeah, getting the job done. I think Precious may have like a better answer to this. So
Come on, don't put me on the spot. Okay, if I'm going to add to what she said, honestly, know what you can take. That's a very big
yeah.
one. If you cannot handle two, three jobs at the same time, no, not two,
Mm,
three jobs. If you cannot handle two classes or three classes with your tech job, I would say don't do it. Right?
mm,
You must know what you can, your ability can carry. At the same time, I would say it makes sense to have like, have good time management skills.
mm,
I feel like that has helped me over the years, such that even when I'm doing crazy stuff, I don't feel
yeah.
pressured because all of my stuffs are kind of scheduled. At this also time, I'm going to be at this place.
Mm,
At this time of the day, I'm going to be here. And I try to also follow whatever I have planned in the morning, right? I have a lot of to-do lists on my iPad, on my I have paper books where I just put those things, right? So I'm going to say time management is a
yeah.
skill everybody needs to have. Apart from you having time management skills, I'm also going to say, um, okay, I forgot my point. Sorry. I forgot my point. But honestly speaking, when it comes to you managing pressure, the pressure will be there sometimes. And it takes a lot of time for you to eventually arrive at
Mm,
that level and be like, okay, I have it all figured out. Funniest thing, I also don't have it all figured out. There are a lot of things you have to perfect. But yeah, there's also this part of you realizing that I don't think I'm the type of person that can just focus on school
mm,
without doing something else. I'm not that calm person, right? I have to stretch myself. I have to go all the way out. That's just the way I am formed, right? Not everybody is formed that way. So it also comes to the part of you understanding yourself and what makes you feel good, right?
yeah.
So if you don't naturally feel like working and studying is something you want to do, then
Mm,
don't do it at all. But if you think it's something you really want to do, then you have to now factor time management into whatever you are doing. Yeah. I hope that answers the question. If I come up with anything after, I'm going to let you know. All right, ZG Aspire. That's the answer to your question. Now I'm going to go to Miamo. She said, I am a newbie in Python. I just finished secondary school this year. I don't know how to get scholarship abroad to further my studies in computer science, but I don't know how to. Please put me through. Okay, thank you, Miamo. I feel like you are in a good place. For one, I'm going to appreciate the fact that you literally just finished secondary school and you are on a call like this
mm,
trying to get more information. I am really, really proud of this. Okay. I'm really, really proud of this. You are a newbie in Python. That's okay. It's okay to be a newbie. And you want to get scholarship abroad to study computer science. That's also possible. I did it. Chigo is also doing is she's on the same path, right? So it's totally possible. If I'm gonna put you through, I will start from the fact that put your document together. Start putting your document together. If you want to study computer science, I know there are like long list of requirements Nigerians have to meet to study out of our country. So I would say if you are just done with secondary school, then you probably have your WAHEC result, or you are about to have your WAHEC result, right? So make sure you kind of mark, you have good scores in the computer science related courses, and that would be mathematics. I know counting, for example, you must have at least B. Chigo, correct me if I'm wrong. You must have B in mathematics to study computer science at Carleton. I know somebody that did not have B and he could not come to Carleton University. And I'm very sure this requirement is like applicable in different parts of the world also, though they will have different criteria. So I would say make sure you do well in your WAHEC. Once you have this particular result, I will now say you should start searching for schools. And when it comes to searching for schools, with it's not only Canada where you can study computer science. Different countries have this thing. So there are a lot of things to also put into consideration. Where do I see myself? I know it's a lot of decisions to make, right? When it comes to where you want, like after school and everything. But I will tell you not to look that far. But look at the countries. We have the United States, we have Canada, we have United Kingdom. I have seen Nigerians in these places, right? Ask yourself, if I'm going to the United Kingdom, do I have the requirement to study in the United Kingdom or the United States? Look at all of these requirements. And also, there's also this language barrier and all. I know some schools in Germany, they will tell you you must meet some language requirements. And if you don't meet the language requirements, you are not able to study in their school, right? So if you think you are open to learning new languages, then it's okay to look for countries where you get to learn their language to study in their school, right? At the same time, if you feel, oh, I don't think that's for me, I'm not interested in learning another language, then you can stick to Canada, United States, and maybe the United Kingdom. Okay. I would say after checking these schools and you now know, okay, these are the countries I want to apply to, then look at the schools in that school, in that country rather. Look at the schools, look at the programs they have. If they have computer science, then look at the requirement for computer science, and also look at scholarship opportunities in that school. Most schools have scholarships already for students, especially for Africans, right? So look at those scholarship applications, look at the requirements, see if there are something you can meet, because not all these requirements, you can't meet all these requirements, to be very honest. So just look at them if you have like a very good chance of getting in. And I'm also going to say, once you've done that and you see, okay, I think I can get the scholarship from this school, then you submit your application. I know it's going to be a lot of googling for you, since you said you just finished high school. It's going to be a lot of googling, and I kind of believe that if you are not sure about something, there are articles online you can read, there are videos online you can read. So you have to like expand yourself, expand your search, and make sure every time you have a question, look online first, see the existing resources that are out there for you. And if you still cannot come up with an answer, then it makes sense to reach out to people and be like, okay, I've done my search, but I am still stuck. And when it comes to scholarships, I would say this is the part of you building your tech skills. When it comes to scholarships, most of the scholarships I've benefited from, they're like Women in Technology Scholarship, Diversity in Tech Scholarship, blah, blah, blah. And since you are already a newbie in tech, you know Python already, I would say this is the time for you to also build your skills and like be able to compete, because a lot of people are also there trying to get the same thing you are looking for, right? Not like compete per se, maybe that's an extreme word. Oh yeah, be ready to get into the pool. So I would say build your skills and look for Women in Technology scholarships. Dev degree program right now, I was able to get into dev degree mostly because I had like past on programming experience, even though they don't factor that into the system, into the application, but it's helped me a lot. So I'm going to say build your skills, do your research, look for schools, know the country you want to go to, and just keep applying. I'm very sure you are going to get a lot of rejections also. That's totally fine. Okay, you have to build that thick skin, so when you see a
Yeah.
rejection, like, you guys can bring me down, I'm gonna go for the next one. Okay, so
Yeah.
try and do all of those things, and it's gonna work for you. Okay, I hope so. I hope so. So I'm
No.
going to go to the next question. I spent too much time on that. All right. I want to study product design. Can a lady do that? And what are the requirements? Of course.
Yeah.
Yes. Everybody can do product design. Everybody can do product design. I have the last speaker I had on this call, Lido Himwillen. She's a product manager at Oracle. Yes. and she's still in the company. Maybe product design is different from product management. I don't know. Don't stress me. I don't want to think about that right now. But yeah, a lady can do literally anything in the tech space, to be very, very honest. Just go for it. I would say, Madioma, go for it. Hello, everyone. Hello. Okay, I'm saying hi to uh somebody said if I know that one. Yes, know your limits. Yes, yes. How do you get enrolled into DevOps in Nigeria? Oh, okay. I think Miamo is referring to DevOps, Chigo.
Okay, okay.
You should answer the question, please.
That's a very good question. To be honest, I think if I were the first thing I'll probably do is look for like online DevOps communities in Nigeria. So you can go to Google and just be like DevOps communities Nigeria, and a bunch of things will come up. And then if you see like, okay, let's say like a community that interests you, I would say try to join. A lot of like these communities may have online presence, like maybe Discord, Slack, or whatever. So just like join the community. I feel like whenever you're, pursuing a new career path, like don't do that alone. Like you need community, you need people to keep you accountable, right? Especially like if you're, let's say you're transitioning from healthcare to tech, like you need a community. So I don't think I can stress that enough. Like there's only so much you can do, and I think with a community you're also made aware of like the opportunities that exist. Like, so for example, a lot of jobs are not posted online. Like I don't know if it's like 70%. So community, so back to like the networking piece, like community, that's like very, very important. And so when you're part of a community, and another thing I would say is like try to also skill up. So there's this like roadmaps for different areas of tech. I wouldn't like follow it like as if you're like, like follow it judiciously, but like just have like a high level overview of like, okay, the skills you have now and the skills you want to have, and then try to create something like a timetable or like a 5 month, 6 month plan, and then actually stick to it. Now, another advantage of a community is you can find an accountability buddy. So somebody that you can be like, okay, hey, here's my plan for 6 months. I need you to keep me accountable. Let us do this together. And you guys would work together to like actually get to that goal in 6 months. Yes, there may be setbacks. I don't think anything happens in life without setbacks, but like you just need to like keep, pressure, like not pressure, but like you have to keep pushing forward. You have to keep pushing and like see it through to the end. And what else would I say? Like obviously like there are certifications you can get. So like the AWS certified solutions architect. There's also like the certified developer associate. So there are certifications you can get in the meantime. These certifications are like quite costly. So I would say like you have to be sure that you want to get those certifications right, and then actually put plan like put something in place to make sure that you get those certifications, because it wouldn't make sense to pay so much money and not have like a positive end result, and this is something that you have 100% control over. So I think those are the steps I would take if I were to get into DevOps in Nigeria.
Thank you so much. I actually don't have anything else to add. Thank you, Chigo. You killed it. We will go to the next question. Oladetong Bemisola. Okay. She said, I'm trying to show that on the screen. Oh, are you clicking the question at the same time as me? Okay, I will wait. You do it. Okay. For someone already working in Nigeria's local tech community, what is the best way to advance to the international stage? This is a very, very thoughtful question. How am I supposed to get started? Okay, I'm going to start this way. Quite a number of us started like very, very small, and there is this desire to like advance beyond where we currently are, which is a perfectly normal feeling. It's a normal thing to want to do. And I'm going to say, even the limitations that are out there right now, they are not enough. They are not enough to prevent you from getting to those international stages, right? And the first thing I'm going to mention is the aspect of building impactful product, impactful solutions. I mentioned something a little bit earlier about people just like building random projects just because they think doing that is enough to make them stand out. There's this aspect of standing out that I preach to people. You can't stand out by doing the common things. If everybody can do the general thing, then everybody should have like stood out by now. You get. So I would say you can't stand out by doing the common thing. And when you want to get to the international stages, I would say building impactful product. When I say building impactful products, not because you want to start working for international companies or you want to do this, then you don't want to solve the problems that are specific to Africa, or like you want to shift your trajectory and you think you have to solve the problems that the international people are facing, or you don't want to solve the problems Africans are facing. But one thing I'm going to let you know is that when you build valuable products, regardless of the country, regardless of the continent that this particular product is impacting, so far it's impactful and people are benefiting from it, trust me, it's good, the product is going to sell itself. I will say the product is going to sell itself for sure. I'm trying to bring this from the point of view that the fact that I want to work for international companies does not say I should not build a machine learning model that will predict ringworm in children in sub-Saharan Africa or children in the northern part of Nigeria. No, that's not what I'm saying. You should build impactful products you think are genuinely impactful, right? I would say building those things is going to help you a lot. For this person, if you're already working in the Nigeria local tech community, I'm very sure you've gotten to a particular, like a very significant level in your career, right? So I don't need to feed you with the crumbs or with the basic stuff. You probably have your resume together. You probably have all of those things together. And your current goal is to advance to the next stage. So I'm going to say expanding your niche also. When I started all of these things, I'm going to be very frank with you. When I started out, I used to not like have international people on my like in my cycle, right? You just see me talking to Nigerians. But there was a time when, okay, I remember a day when I was talking to a white person on I'm just gonna say this. I was talking to a white person on my phone. You need to see how happy I felt, because deep down I was like, damn, you crossed a milestone. Actually, it's a wrong thing to feel. Maybe not a wrong thing, but you guys understand what I'm trying to say. But yeah, I would say expand your niche. There are actually many content creators, many of these international people that are out there on Twitter, on LinkedIn, or organizations. I'm also going to go to the aspect of organizations, volunteering for international organizations. One of the things that actually created the path for me was when I joined Women Tech Network. Women Tech Network is, I can't remember the name of the founder, and they kind of have ambassadors all over the world. And it's a women initiative. They have places, they have people representing from different parts of the world, right? When I joined this, I was standing in as like the ambassador from Nigeria and with a couple of others, right? And then they gave us a lot of they gave us a lot of spotlight, something like that. So I would say volunteering for international organizations. You are probably volunteering already in Nigeria, doing a lot of good stuff, right? But I would say volunteer for international organizations. And you should also know that your background is not a limitation to where you can be. So applying for international companies is going to also help. Funniest thing, I was talking to a friend recently, and I was like, oh, there is this job application somewhere. It's Lithuania. They didn't tell me to give them a PR, so I'm not going to mention the name of the company. It's a company in Lithuania. Do you want to apply? And she was like, I don't think I'm qualified. I don't think I want to do this. I'm like, you have everything these people are looking for. You know Power BI, you know Tableau, you know this, you know that. And she's like, Precious, I don't think I can do it. So I would say, get rid of that mindset. Apply for those things regardless. Just keep applying, honestly. And before you know it, you are already where you would see yourself in the next few months. I'm just gonna wrap up like that. I don't know if I've made justice to the question. So I'm going to go to the second question by Bimisola. She said, as an academic enthusiast, how do you balance the desire to study abroad with the significant financial responsibilities involved. This is quite a lot. I was telling Chigo sometime like before this session there, myself, I can be one of the lucky people to study in Canada because I don't have to pay my tuition. Like a company is paying this thing for me. And when I see people that have to pay the tuition by themselves, it's quite a lot. International students are paying a lot of money. So the financial responsibilities you said, it's very real. It's very real. Chigo, do you have an answer for that? Because they are paying my tuition, so you should have more to say.
That's a very, very good question. Yeah, just as Precious has said, the financial responsibilities are a lot. So honestly, I would say like if you don't have like the capacity to do so, I wouldn't like I'm not going to say I'm going to advise against it, but like it's like just know what you have, right? And like look for maybe like you don't have to come abroad. Like abroad should may not be the final destination, right? It's like if like coming abroad might be the final destination, but like there are steps to get in there. For me, I think I work like I've had a few internships over the past couple of years, and so I'm a very like frugal person. Like I don't spend money unless I have to. So I've saved quite a lot of like from those internships, and I support my parents as well. Like when it comes to tuition, it is a burden for like parents sending their children abroad. It's like it's quite a burden because like the exchange rate changes almost every day, and so it's like it is a burden honestly, and that's one way I try my best to like keep my expenses very low, and the rest just goes towards my tuition. I try to also like participate in a lot of hackathons as well, because like if you do win, you get like some money and that can go towards tuition. So I would say yes. I don't really know the right way to answer this question if I'm being very, very honest. I would just say like of course like studying abroad is like a very good thing for you to like do. Like it could be like an accomplishment, but like that could also be you could also look at it from the angle of okay, that is probably like my final destination. And to get there are steps that you may have to take. Like yeah, there's steps that you have to take. Like I know with Precious, she has the dev degree. So if you want to look into that route, or like I have like my uncle came to Canada and he actually had his company. I don't know how that process worked, but his company sponsored his education and like everything up until the point where he graduated. So I think it's just like do more research when it comes to like finances, and like I don't want to say don't come here until you're financially ready, because I kind of want to say that because if you do come here when you're not financially ready, there's a lot of it's going to be a lot on you. Like it's going to be a lot. So I would say know what you have now, currently in Nigeria. Like maybe like bring up your bank statements. Even when you're applying for like I think visa, they're going to ask you how are you going to like support yourself. So it's like know what you have now. Maybe bring your bank statements and like look through it, like and then draft like a an abroad plan, like okay, if I want to study abroad, here's how much I should have saved, here's how much, like, and you also have to account for like things like inflation, exchange rates, that kind of stuff. And then have like a very that should be like a very like a long term plan. So if you want to save XYZ and you're not making like up to a certain amount, I would say maybe like evaluate job opportunities that would pay you higher. Like there's no I just feel like yeah, um there's no one size fits all kind of answer.
Mhm.
So I would just say like know where you are, know what you have, and like try to have like a financial readiness plan, sort of, because you don't want to come here and you're stranded and you're looking for it's not a fun experience at all.
That's 100% right. Honestly, like she said, have a plan. Don't just come to Canada or like go abroad because others are doing it. Have a very solid plan. No, this is what I want to do. This is what I have. I do not have a job, or I have a job. Is this job enough to sustain me in this part of the world? Do I have family to help? Do I have, like, you ask yourself those questions. And I we are all smart. You'll come up with an answer based on the data you have. Yeah. Okay, I can see in the chat somebody said Oladetungbemi Sola asked a lot of questions at the same time. Okay, we are just going to answer this last one also. So after our last question, we are going to go to the other ones. Okay. She's saying, how do you transition from being a reasonably financially independent professional to pursuing international opportunities that might not be immediately financially viable? I love this question. I'm going to read it again so I can break it down one by one. How do you transition from being a reasonably you are financially dependent professional? You are a financially dependent professional, but you are pursuing international opportunities that are not financially viable. Chigo, do you want to go over that?
I think the question is like, what do you mean by financially dependent? Like, what does that mean?
I think the person is coming from this point of you are a professional, but you
Mm-hmm.
still have to like depend on some stuff. Maybe I'm not going to try and oh explain it. I will let the person drop an explanation in the chat so we can actually tackle the specific problem and not have to like come up with
Yeah.
things based on what we perceive it as. Okay. So Oladetongbe Misola, I would say break down what you mean by like being financially dependent as a professional, and
Mm-hmm.
then opportunities that are not like financially viable. If you can do that in the chat, that would be very much appreciated. So that will let us go to the next question. Okay, the person that advocated for the question to go is now having the floor. Okay, I'm seeing one from Madonna. Uh, okay, the award is burdening you. Okay, maybe I'm just going to say something quickly concerning like applications that will tell you to have existing awards, leadership experience. It makes sense for them to ask you about leadership experience because they want to know that whoever they are giving this scholarship to is somebody that is going to like hold the mantle of tech in the future, or like is going to take tech to the next level in their own capacity, which makes a lot of sense. But for somebody who is like applying to this thing for the very first time, I feel like the way you can balance what they are asking for is to have a lot of leadership experience, even if you don't have awards and all of those things. You saying, oh, I led this initiative, and then cycling it back to the impact you made while doing those leadership opportunities is actually can actually be in the same cadre as you having awards. Okay. So I would say talk about the leadership experience and talk about the impact of those experiences. They will definitely surface. And because the application is telling you to list awards and you don't have the awards, does not mean you should not apply. That's another mistake people make. I apply for some things and I'm like, I don't meet the requirements, but I'm just going to do my own regardless. If I get rejected, I will ask you for feedback. Oh, why did you reject me? And then you can tell me, oh, you did not do this, you did not do that, right? Instead of me just not applying for it because I felt I wasn't going to enter. Okay. So, yeah,
And just to touch on what she said, I think the same can be said with internships as well. Like, sometimes you may get like you may get rejected, right? Like even when you do everything right, like you may still get rejected. So like asking for feedback, and like that's a very important piece, and knowing how to tailor your next application, whether it's like an award, whether it's like a scholarship, like just knowing, okay, what are the mistakes I made, how can I improve, how can I get better, etc,
exactly.
etc, etc.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you. Somebody is saying, how can I join She Code Africa community? She Code Africa is right there. Go to Google, type She Code Africa community. Oh, you don't even need to put community, just put She Code Africa. She Code Africa is a very big program right now. And then there should be a way for you to sign up. Once you
Hmm.
sign up, I think it's a Google form. They will ask you a couple of questions. They will review your answer and then get back to you via email. Yeah, that's very straightforward. Okay. Let's go to the next question. I have a full ride athletic scholarship to an incredible school, but got kicked out because one of the teachers caught me. We are going to skip this question. Thank you. Um, how can one do better in computer science classes? I think we can get to that question, right? Okay. How can one do better in computer science classes? I would say most computer science um, classes, people believe they are very mathy. However, they are not actually mathy like that. Most of them are logical reasonings and they want you to be able to think and see the way you can solve problems. So I would say if you are in school and you are struggling with your computer science classes, I would say it makes sense. Probably you are already doing it. I would say it makes sense to take your time and go over your lecture materials. That's very, very important. Go over your lecture materials. I don't know where you are schooling from, maybe Nigeria or another part in the world, but I'm very sure most lecturers are not wicked to set questions that will throw you out or that you will not be able to answer. Most of them will kind of go through what they've taught you already and bring questions from there, right? So I'm going to say take your time and study your lecture notes and practice problem solving. I will say one of the troubles I had or coming to study computer science was the fact that growing up in Nigeria, you don't question people. They they give you instructions and you follow, right? And that was not like very helpful in you being able to solve problems or like tweak things in the way you can understand them. So I struggled a little bit with problem solving. Maybe that was one of the reasons I did not get into Google back then, right? So I will say practice problem solving and you can start by even playing games. Games can be very tricky and they just take you through that phase of you solving problems. It can be puzzles. They are like computational questions online. Just put yourself on that ride and try to solve those problems. And yeah, take yourself through those phases and you eventually see yourself getting better and better. Be more studious. If you think you are lacking in something, it makes sense to spend more time to get better in that particular area. Okay, I hope
And
that helps.
just to
Go
add to
on.
what she said, if you have resources in your school, like teaching assistants or like your professors, you can also reach out to them and let them
Yeah,
know that you're struggling. Like I
yeah.
don't think unless your professor is like an opposition, I don't think your professor wants you to fail. And so reaching out to your professors or like teaching assistants or like course reps, I don't know the term people use these days, just to get more support, and also like looking at departments at your school that offer course related support. Like I know in our school we have like the math tutoring center. We also have like I believe the computer science tutoring center as well. So just like knowing, okay, I've tried my best. I've really put in, like after you've really put in all the efforts and whatever, like just knowing when to ask for help. I think that's definitely something that helped me in my first year because I didn't have any programming experience whatsoever, and I struggled a lot with like programming concepts. And it's not like I was not like spending time. I was spending hours. And I think one thing that just changed the game was I asked for help and I had a tutor um during that period, and I was able to like have a better, like the way I thought definitely changed, because when I like I would walk through my thought process with my tutor and he would be like, okay, this is where you made a mistake, and he would literally like point out those errors. And so with time I was able to identify those errors on my own, and then sitting down with a problem, it just helped in the long run. So knowing when to ask for help and like asking for help as well. And I think that's just the only thing I would add to what she said.
I love that. I love that. Oh, Miyamo is asking how she can get a personal mentor. Hmm. Okay, I'm going to start like this. It makes sense to have mentors. Uh, but I would say at the very beginning, you should try and like learn on your own, improve yourself. It makes sense to have mentor because everybody who desires to have somebody who has already gone through the same path, they are just trying to tread, and then having somebody like that who can correct them when they make mistakes, who can guide them in the right direction, is going to be a very long help. Like it's going to help them on the long run. But I would say build yourself, keep building yourself, even in the absence of a mentor. Keep building yourself. I know some people will need a mentor because they want a roadmap in their career journey. But I would say there are also like ways you can tackle those existing problems with you googling and like checking for resources online. I and my mentor Oluwatoyin Yetunde Soni, we created this thing like a roadmap to data science and machine learning for people that are interested in this thing, right? And the resources are out there. So if you are in data science and machine learning, you can easily come across it and like use it to plan your learning and everything. And in as much as we have data science and machine learning, there should be for front end engineering, for back end engineering. So those resources are there. But however, if you feel like you actually need something, you need a mentor for a specific area of your life, I would say reach out to people. Reach out to people. People are online, they are ready to mentor. If you're in the Nigerian tech space, you see a lot of them on tech Twitter. I would say just utilize those resources you find on social media. People are there. If you see anybody that catches your interest, reach out to them, be polite, let them know why you are reaching out. Don't just reach out because you want somebody. No, reach out because there's a value you can tap from them. There's something they have that you currently don't have, and you aspire to have that thing. They must see the enthusiasm in you. They must know you are ready to get something from them. Nobody just wants somebody who has no contribution, who has no impact in their life. I won't actually rate you if I have somebody like that, right? So I would say make sure you have a reason for reaching out to them. And when you eventually get them, make sure it's you are responsible when they give you assignment, when they give you tasks, make sure you get them done. They don't have to like chase you every time they need to get your attention. Yeah, that's pretty
Just
much
to
like go for it.
just to touch, just to add a few cents.
Mm,
I think your mentors are human beings with other priorities, right? So you have to be conscious of that. Like, in as much as they want to help you, grow, mature, or whatever that looks like. They also have other things. They have work, school, whatever that looks like for them. So, like, also being mindful of their time. And just as Precious has said, you have to do the work. Like, you can't, like, of course, maybe like your first few interactions, maybe more hand holding, but you have to show that, okay, you're actually progressing. You don't just want to milk them dry. Like, a lot of times, relationships are a two-way street, right? So if your mentor is providing value to you, you have to also provide that value in return. And that value sometimes may look like, okay, if your mentor assigns you something to do, like, do it on time. If you have any issues, communicate effectively. Like, you should not be an additional burden on your mentor. So just, yeah, just keep that in the at the back of your mind.
I love that. I love that. I like how you said mentors are also a human being. You don't want to be a burden. And because of what we just said, don't feel like, oh, I must have a value to give this person before they can mentor me. Don't let that be a drawback, right? Just know yourself, know what you want, and be true to yourself. And make sure you are not too dependent. Yes. So I'm going to go to a question. Thank you, Chico. Ogunsuji Alimat. She said, how do you position yourself for scholarships and internships as someone that will be done with a first degree in the next 2 months? Chigo, do you want to go for that?
I can speak a bit more on maybe like the internship side of
Internship.
things, and maybe
Exactly.
Precious would handle the scholarship. Um, for internships, I would say there are different paths in tech. Wait 1 second. Okay, yeah. So there are different paths in tech, right? Um, and so when you go to like job boards like LinkedIn, you would see certain requirements. Like, okay, you have to know JavaScript, you have to know TypeScript, whatever the requirements may be. So in order to position yourself well, I would say having those skills are very important. Like, you can start working on having those skills, like through projects, like building projects, um, whatever route you're taking. Like, if you want to follow like a tutorial, you can follow a tutorial, but like try to like make it different. Like, that's the approach I would usually take. Like, try to make it different, try to add functionality that the tutorial did not add, like, at all. Like, you can make something from scratch, whatever that looks like, but like, you need to have those skills. Yeah, so having those skills, working, you can get them through projects, etc. Another one I would say in terms of internships is applying. Like you need to apply. Like no one's gonna like come to your lap and drop the internship. Like you have to go out there and find the opportunities that you're interested in, whether it's full stack, back end, cloud, whatever it is. So find those opportunities, work on the skills that the job requires or like the internship requires, and then network with people already, let's say, working those jobs or working at the company of your dream, and like network with them on LinkedIn, join, go for conferences, whatever that looks like. um and then you also have to like improve your interview prep skills, so you have skills for the job, like if you're in cloud, for example, like knowledge of Kubernetes, Terraform, Docker, etc. And then you actually have interview prep skills, so those are the skills that you need to have in order to get past the interview stage. So whatever job you're applying for, they have their own, like the company has their own like interview requirements, right? So they're, in as much as when you get to that stage, um in as much as you're like they're interviewing you, like it's also an opportunity for them to, for you to get to know more about the company. So I would say interview prep skills could look like lead code. I know if you're in software engineering, like if that's your specialty, there's like lead code, there's like behavioral prep. So there are a lot of like, there's a lot of preparation that goes into like getting an internship, and I think, yeah, just like, yeah, it's like, yeah, there's a lot that goes into preparing for an internship. So I would say, if I were to summarize everything I've just said, I would say, um definitely pick, like, go through a job description, get those skills, like, through projects, network with people that are working there. And then the fourth one would be prepare for the interview, like prepare like as if your interview is the next day or like the next week, get all the resources you need and like just keep preparing. And yeah, that's it.
I love it. Thank you. Yeah, even if I don't add anything to this answer, I feel like you really cut across everything. For the scholarship aspect, I'm going to say something around impact, because when you apply for scholarships, there are many other people applying for this thing, and it's also the same thing as internships. But you must find a way to stand out among like every other person that is applying. Google Generation Scholarship, for example, they have a lot of applicants from Africa now, and even other places in the world. You want a way to tell your story that is like different from every other person. I know with the advent of ChatGPT and everything, number one thing for scholarships, you must be sure that you will write essays. That's very certain. Essays are important. So this cuts across your writing skills, your communication skills, you being genuine and showing impact. Oh, I was saying something about the advent of ChatGPT and the way quite a number of people, you just see them uh, putting the questions in ChatGPT, getting the answer, and just giving it to the reviewer or whoever is going to go through your application, right? And trust me, there is no way you will do that and you will get the scholarship. I'm very sure there is no way, because you want to be personal, you want to be genuine, you want to tell your story. And ChatGPT is very, very random. If people know the way ChatGPT works, they won't actually use it for some crucial things in their lives, because it kind of just looks at various variables, like different variables, and then picks the word that matches the, like, it's, I think it's pattern or embedding, I can't remember. And then it matches the previous word to the next best word. That is not you. We are different. That's not your story, right? So you want to make sure whatever story you are writing is about you and not about another person. And you want to be as truthful as possible. You don't want to cook up stories. You don't want to say things that have not happened to you in your life before. And the way you say the stories, the way you tell the stories also matter. You don't just want to say, hey, 2 years ago, I got a job. Thank God. No, that's not the way it works. You have to see the process that led to you getting the job and what you learned in the process of you getting the job, your impact on the job, and how everything eventually turned out. But this does not mean you have to like spend 1,000 characters on just one story. No, you want to be as concise as possible. And one thing I tell myself is, if somebody picks my application and the person is reading my application, each word I put in my essay must mean something. Like I don't just put words there. Each word I put means something to me, right? And if it means something to me, that means I've properly communicated my story, right? So you may want to do the same. Be very, very genuine when you write your essay. Talk about your life. And most of the scholarship or most of the people that have received scholarships in the past that have been opportune to meet, most of them, you realize that they talk about their vulnerabilities. They are not trying to say, oh, my dad has all this money. I know it makes sense for us to come from good families and everything. It makes sense for us to have money in our pocket. But this particular problem requires a particular solution. So you want to be vulnerable. And I'm not saying you should be like too vulnerable. You know, when something is too much, be vulnerable. Talk about your life, talk about your story, be very expressive. And when they say don't go beyond 500 words, don't go beyond it. Try and keep it to the limit. If they say 500, I'll mostly write 490 and then dash them 10 words, something like that. And if they tell you write as much as you can, give it to them, right? And if there is also like something in the application that says, oh, this particular question is optional. Okay, we are going to wrap up very soon. I'm taking my time now and we've spent almost 1 hour. Okay. So I'm going to wrap up what I'm saying right now. When they say, oh, this particular question is optional, trust me, answer the question, please. If they say this question is optional, answer it. It adds to your application, it adds to your profile. So yeah, I'm going to say that your communication is very important. And some scholarship applications, after they review your essay, they will tell you to come back for behavioral interview. Not like behavioral interview per se, but they want to know you are actually the person behind what you submitted. So you want to show up to those interviews, and be able to actually summarize or repeat whatever you've said in your application, in your essays, right? So those are kind of like the stages for scholarships. And yeah, if you do those things, I feel like you'll be fine. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. This is good. We covered all the questions. Yay. And funniest thing, most of the questions I wanted to ask Chigozirim, we've actually like mentioned them a little bit in the process, right? um I remember wanting to ask her, because if I'm going to put her on the spotlight, Chigo has worked for several companies. TD, there's a TD bank in Canada. She worked there. There is she's working at Survey Monkey now. She has worked at Nokia and many other companies, right? So I wanted to ask her how she was able to find those companies, but I think she answered it in her question. Unless she decides to add more to those things. Do you want to have anything?
Yeah, honestly, it's just like using job boards like LinkedIn. To be very honest, like I use job boards like LinkedIn. Um, I just filter like okay, if like for example, I'm in DevOps cloud computing, so I look for roles within that space, like DevOps intern, cloud engineer intern, systems engineer intern. And then when I look at them, I also look at like the responsibilities, because
Mm,
sometimes the role name may not match the role description, so that's also like a very important thing to me. And then I
yeah.
look at the tech stack, like okay, is this tech that I would be interested in working with, etc. And then when I find like the job, I would, obviously go through the normal process. You'd apply, submit your resume, and then what I would do is I would usually connect with someone who works there. So most times I'll go to LinkedIn and I'll be like recruiter Nokia, or on Google I'll be like recruiter plus Nokia, because it will bring up all the like recruiters who work at Nokia. And sometimes I'm also like very specific, like recruiter plus Nokia Canada, and it'll bring out it'll bring up all the recruiters who work in Nokia, and who also work like in Canada as well. And then I would go through their profile. This actually takes time, but I would go through their profile and I would actually like see a few things I can relate with, or a few things that resonate with me in their background. And I would send them like a message. I know LinkedIn has this limit, so it's like you need to like actually sit down and refine your question or refine your invite requests to make sure that, okay, one, you stand out, and it's also within that character limit. And so I would send this to so many recruiters, and the thing is that you just need one recruiter. Like, you really just need one yes and one recruiter. And so with Nokia, I got a recruiter who was able to get my resume to the hiring team, and like, it
Chigo,
just made
can I
the
ask you a
process
question?
easier. Okay.
When you said something about like having a template and you send it to as many people as possible, do you also try to look at their profile and try to match the text or the message to what you see on their profile, or the messages are generic? People need to know so they can like know whether to, do you know what I'm trying to say, to
Yeah.
make sure the questions or the messages are particular to the person they are sending it to? Do you also do that?
I think I do that sometimes. Like, if I have time, again, this is like, it's a time consuming process, if I'm being very honest. So if you have the time, yes, like, try to make your messages as personalized as possible, like, and there's also a way where you can actually make something that's very generic personal. Like, a good question would be like, oh, what made you work here for so. Oh, I looked through your background. Like, they're very, like, they're generic templates, but you can adapt it to make it more personal, right? It's like, when you're asking someone, oh, like, tell me more about your background, like, instead of just making it so plain, you can be like, oh, I noticed you worked at a nonprofit for XY number of years. Like, what made you decide to leave that world of nonprofit and actually transition into the, you know, tech space, or like the for-profit phase, blah blah blah. And then, yeah, you can make, honestly, like, you can take anything that's so generic and just put your own spin to it. So I would say, if you have the time, definitely do that, because it increases your chances. Like, when people are going through their personalized invites, they don't, if you're just like, oh, hey, I want to connect, like, they don't, they may accept it, but like, the chances are very low. So
Yeah.
if you have like something that's more personal, something that's like very hidden, like, okay, you've done your research, like, and I think they also understand that if you're not using premium, you have the character limits. So a lot of people I've connected with, they understand that, like, when I use, because I use abbreviations, like, there's nothing I can do. Like, I'm sorry, but like, accept, and I would explain what those acronyms mean. But like, yeah, I also use abbreviations as well. But yeah, definitely, like, I think you have to be very intentional, like, with anything you're doing in life. Like, you just have to be
Mm,
very intentional. Like, yes, there are certain things that are more time consuming, but like, the results, like, you get better results from them. So
yes.
I would say, that's pretty much my process of finding the companies and getting to that stage.
I so much love this. Thank you so much, Chigozirim. This is one of the beautiful, like the most beautiful live sessions we've ever had. Thank you so much.
Hmm.
I'm going to like just wrap this up now, and then let us know that this is something we plan to do like every month, because I think this is a way for her to get across many people in a more structured way. So I factored it into my schedule, and it's something we'll be doing at the end of every month. Next month, you can see Chigozirim or with another person. I'm gonna bring all those people, don't worry. So yeah, it can be something like that. I just want us to do it every month so people can have answers to their questions as soon as possible. So if you, I get a lot of emails too, but I have limited time. I have a lot of things I'm doing, guys. So most of the time, I'm not able to get to those questions in my email. But I believe doing this live session, anybody that has asked a question can actually come directly and get an answer live. But if it's something very personal and you don't think you want it to be live, you can still put it in my DM on like in my email. Don't ask me for my email address. If you are here and you don't have my email address, that means you've not looked about me like as you are supposed to. Okay, don't ask me for that. You should email me if it's specific enough, and I will try my best to answer. Okay. I love doing this. I love the session, and we are going to come again. All right. Look out for the time. I try to make it the last Saturday of the month, but look out for the time. I'm going to put out flyers. I'm going to like broadcast it like in my little way, and I hope you guys still see it even if you are not online or if anything happens. Okay. That's pretty much it from me. Unfortunately, Victoria Olaushibiko, we are done with this session. She's asking how you can fit tech into other curricular activities. Should we tell her to like save the question for the next session?
I mean, we can, but if we have time, maybe it will just be like a shorter
Do,
answer.
do you want to give her like a very short answer?
How do you fit tech into other that's a very good question. I think again it just goes back to being intentional, right? It's like when you say tech, like maybe it could be like upskilling, right? Like maybe, oh, I want to learn Next.js, or I want to I'll take that for as an example. So let's say the tech is I want to learn how to use Node.js. So what I would usually do is because like I we only have 24 hours, unfortunately. So what I would do is I would have a plan. I don't know how to do things from scratch. So what I would do is I'll go to YouTube and I'll check Next.js tutorial. And then but before I do that, I'll actually sit down and think, okay, what do I want to build? Like, what's the problem that I want to solve? I would look at like, oh, is it healthcare? Is it finance? Maybe I'm not even solving a problem. Maybe like I notice an issue with, let's say, an app I'm using and I'm like, okay, I can make something better. And
Yeah.
so I would pick like just write three ideas, then I'll go to YouTube and then look for a video that actually shows me how to build what I want to build. And then in the process of building it, I would change a lot of things, like I change the functionality. Sometimes I add things like, oh, maybe if I want to learn, and I think I add things based on what I want to learn or based on what I want to take out of the tutorial. So if I want to know more about AI, I would add like, okay, to implement a chatbot interface in this app. So it's like I'm building on top of what the tutorial is showing, and that way I'm keeping like my skills fresh. You don't have to finish a tutorial in one day.
No.
Just break it down into like maybe 30 minutes per day, right, or like 45 minutes per day, and just make sure that you're actually being consistent and yeah, because like 45 minutes out of 24 hours, I think that's very doable. Like if you just dedicate 45 minutes out of your day to doing that, and yeah, you see the results as time goes on. And then you can apply that to literally anything, like if it's AWS, whatever tech you want to do, like whatever that tech looks like, you can apply it to, yeah, you can apply those principles to whatever
Yeah.
that looks like for you. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yes, we are done. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. Thank you. I really appreciate the questions. We wouldn't have been able to get this done without you guys being on the live stream. We've spent almost 1 hour now, like even more
Yeah.
than that. Right? Thank you. And I will see you next month.
Thank
Right?
you, everybody. Have a good one.
Bye bye. And stream. And stream.